Hi everyone, Steve here. As you probably know, it's been a while since I've posted a video, and I'm making this video in April of 2020, early April of 2020. If you're watching this way down the road, way after that date, you're hopefully watching this and thinking, I'm really glad we got past that time, and I'm glad things are better now. If you're watching this around the time that I'm making this video, in early 2020, you know that right now we're dealing with some very tough times. We're dealing with a global pandemic that has ravaged a lot of people's lives. I'm not going to refer to the virus at the center of the pandemic by name right now because apparently YouTube and a lot of other social media sites don't want us using the actual name of the video or unintentionally flag videos with that name, basically because they don't want a bunch of misinformation to be spread about this virus. And while it does suck a lot that we can't use the name of the virus in these videos sometimes, I'm going to respect that, and I understand the need to keep misinformation down. So throughout this video, I'll just refer to it as either the pandemic or the virus. With that being said, you guys all know what I'm talking about. For starters, I just want to clear this up. I'm doing fine. I'm doing okay. I am practicing social distancing. Throughout this whole thing, I have not had any symptoms of anything, and I have not been tested. I'll put that out there, but the reason why should be obvious. I haven't experienced any symptoms and I'm practicing social distancing. So I haven't really had a need yet. And I want to make sure that people who actually do need testing are able to get it. And right now we're dealing with a very limited number of tests available. And while that number seems to be increasing, and while there are very promising things on the way for those tests, I think we still have a long way to go. And I don't think anybody has any disillusions about that. I think everybody knows that we have a long way to go and that we're experiencing some really tough times, and we have tough times ahead. I'm not gonna lie. Back in probably mid-February, early March, before this really turned into a global pandemic, and before there was a lot of stuff shutting down in the United States, I was admittedly one of those people who didn't really think this was going to be a big deal. I was one of those guys who thought, rather unfortunately, I thought, and was misinformed about the idea, that this is just going to be one of those things that isn't nearly as bad as stuff we're facing now. It's not going to be anything as bad as flu season. It's going to have a few cases in some countries, almost never reach a global scale, never reach a massive scale in the US, and won't affect me personally, and will die out rather quickly. And in a month, we'll be laughing at how we were scared about it. And boy, was I wrong. Anybody who listened to me back then when I was actually thinking that and saying that, I'm sorry. I was wrong, and use that version of me as an example of how not to react to something like this. I am social distancing now, and I encourage you to do the same. And I am glad to see that it looks like way more people than there were then are taking this seriously. A lot more people are practicing social distancing. We have a lot of people anteing up and trying to keep things afloat while practicing social distancing and lending support to people. And I think that's a good thing. Now, there are still people who are on that same train of not social distancing. There are a lot of people who don't understand the importance of this. There are people who think, I'm gonna be fine. I'm one of those people who has a strong immune system. This is just gonna be like a cold. I'll get over it quickly, and if I get it, I get it. What's the problem? The problem isn't necessarily that you'll get it and won't be fine. Honestly, there's a pretty good chance you'll get it and you'll be fine. The problem is we want to prevent the spread. We want to minimize the number of cases and number of hospitalizations and number of deaths as much as possible. Let's say, for the sake of argument, you are one of the people who will get it and doesn't get very many bad side effects from it. Let's say you don't end up needing to be hospitalized or don't end up dying. Let's say you end up just needing a little bit of bed rest, you have a few really crummy days, and then you're back on your feet feeling okay. That may not be the same case for other people you were around while you had this. Another thing that could happen is you might even not know that you have it, could be a carrier, could be asymptomatic and not show any symptoms, still spread it around. And the people who are around you that end up getting it because you were walking around might not be so lucky. To those people who are essential employees and actually keeping the lights on while we're going through this, thank you so much for what you're doing. No matter how many accolades you get, you are underappreciated. With that being said, if you are one of the people who is privileged enough to be able to do your work from your home, and if you are somebody who does not need to go out for any reason, and by need, I mean absolute necessity, not that you just want to get out of the house, please practice social distancing and stay home. I have loved ones who have compromised immune systems, and I also have loved ones who have compromised immune systems who are essential employees. And that scares the shit out of me, to be honest. And I know I'm not the only one who's scared. I know I'm not the only one who's worried about how things are gonna go. I know that this is a time where a lot of us are really worried about how things are gonna go. I mean, we have a giant virus on our hands. We're trying not to get sick. We're trying not to get other people sick. We have very huge economic uncertainty right now because we have a massive number of people who don't have jobs and are filing for unemployment. And we have no idea when a lot of these social distancing recommendations are going to fall out. And also, in general, we don't know when this thing is going to go away. I do want to say we need to stay positive, but I don't know if that's the right word. I guess it is the right word as long as you don't think of positive as fake positive. Don't try and look for the bright side in every single situation when there are really bad situations. But what you can do is work through in your mind how to get through it. And also, be alert but not panic. Don't check the news every second of every day because that's going to drive you nuts and that's going to make you panic. But also be alert to where you're actually paying attention. I get that we all want to get through this. I get that we all want to support each other through this. But if you find some sort of piece of information that you want to share online about this, please check your sources. We live in a time of massive information overload where anybody can put whatever they want on some web page or some social media site, and if enough people see it, it basically becomes truth. And that's not necessarily how things should be. A lot of things that are being spread around are just totally false. Please check your sources on things before you spread them. And please keep in mind there's always going to be that minority of people who are conspiracy theorists and always want to go against the grain just for the sake of going against the grain. Don't listen to them. Please check your sources. Get things from the WHO, get things from the CDC, get things from reliable sources, and don't just believe something that one of your family members posted on Facebook just because they're your family member and want to keep an eye out for you. But that being said, we are in a time of massive uncertainty, and it is hard to not go out and do things, even as an introvert. Even though I can't say we're prepared for this virus, because if we were, we wouldn't be in the situation we are now. Instead of being in a position like, say, when the Spanish flu happened, nobody was able to do their work from home. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have telecommuting capability. Now we do. We have so many people who are able to do their jobs from home that we can utilize that and prove that it works. And back then, we didn't really have a way to talk to each other than face-to-face conversation. Now, we have FaceTime, we have Zoom, we have social media. We have so many ways we can keep in contact with each other without actually being right up against each other. This is the time we should be using this, guys. We should be using this as a way to keep in contact with each other and to keep each other feeling safe. So all in all, please stay home if you're able to. For all of those essential employees who have to go to work during this time, Thank you for everything you do. You have no idea what it means to me and everybody else. And please stay alert, but don't panic. If we keep doing those things, eventually we will get through this and we will come out on the other side. And after that, we'll be able to take damn near anything and get through it. Have a good one, guys, and stay healthy and safe. Thank you.